Hi, my name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. I was reading recently that many people are walking around dehydrated. They don't have enough water in their bodies. And it's an interesting observation. In the article, it said that our thirst mechanism has atrophied so completely in many of our lives that we misdiagnose what our thirst is, and we think it's hunger. We experience our thirst as hunger. And because of that, we actually end up eating food instead of drinking water. We put food into our bodies rather than water into our bodies. And of course, this can lead to tragic consequences. I think one of the underlying reasons for the growth of obesity and diabetes in our culture is because we're not recognizing the right signals in our experience. I think this carries over into our spiritual lives. I think spiritually there's a great hunger in people. But we're so committed to our physicality, and we so identify with our physicality. We so interpret ourselves through our physicality that the signals that come to us are often misdiagnosed. And we end up trying to satisfy our hearts through our stomachs. We eat bread when we need spirit. Our desire for ecstasy is sometimes attempted to be satisfied through stuff. And we try to satisfy our need for peace with our neighbor through walls, high walls. And I think this leads to some pretty profound tragic consequences too. I think one of the underlying aches in our time is loneliness. I think people are profoundly lonely because we're misdiagnosing our spiritual yearnings and the signals that come from them. Today, Jesus is in the desert. He's in the desert for 40 days. He's gone through his baptism. He's given God the permission slip to change him, and now he's out in the desert for 40 days fasting. And fasting in the ancient world was seen as a time of preparation and a time of letting go. With every change comes a transition. With every transition comes an ending. And Jesus needs to let go of one form of life, one identity, in order to be open to embrace a new identity that's coming. And that 40-day length tells us just how profoundly we are attached to what we already are, and how we are so profoundly attached to what we think we are too. Those signals that lie deep within us are not easily unleashed and recognized in their true form. Jesus fasts for 40 days, and I think part of it is he's trying to come into contact with the signals of his life. He wants to be reconnected with them in their proper form. And he's teasing apart hunger inside of himself. Physical hunger on the one side and spiritual hunger on the other. Both important, but both very distinct in many ways. And ultimately, after the 40 days, he knows the difference between the two. So when the devil comes to him and tempts him for the first time with the temptation, turn these stones into bread, satisfy your hunger through your stomach, Jesus is ready for him. And Jesus will not be prepared to satisfy his heart yearnings through his stomach. He will not satisfy his hunger for God through bread. And he says back to the devil, we do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God. I live today by the voice of the living God that is within me, Jesus says to the devil. And it seems to me becoming reacquainted with the signals that are within us and being able to distinguish between them is so critical for our lives. And that each of us needs to go on some kind of fast for a long time so that we can become reacquainted with who we are and what's really driving our lives today. In my case, I realize I need to change the way I think about people and about situations. So I'm embarking on what's called the 21-day practice. No complaining, no criticizing, no gossiping about people. I'm on this 21-day practice here at Trillium. I'm looking forward to the chance to teasing apart the signals in my life so that I can think differently about the world out there and live differently within my own skin. And in my own way, I commit myself to join Jesus in the wilderness, teasing apart the signals that are underlying my life.